Hello there, and welcome to episode 44 of the Fandom Podcast.
Hello.
Today we have no guests because we have a fair amount to talk about this week, so no need for guests. Um, but
Yes.
after the last 2 weeks of one of us being away, we're finally back.
Yeah. How was Madrid, Alan?
Madrid, very good. Um, most people know I'm probably a big football fan, so that was great for me. And Madrid as a city overall, it's very nice. Yeah.
Cool.
Um, let's see what happened today. Uh,
Not much.
nah. I mean, if you live in England, which probably all our viewers do, um, then the FA Cup fourth round qualifying was on today, which, to be honest, nobody really cares about apparently. Um, except for me,
Yeah.
who who knew some of the unknown teams, teams that most people have never even heard of, have managed to beat some of your, fairly bigger teams. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
More FPL has been on as well.
Yeah. Speaking
More
of that,
room for points.
yeah, while I'm at that, I'll probably just quickly check up on my FPL team because I benched Harry Kane like a fool.
Oh, that wasn't a good idea.
No, it
Got like
really
6
wasn't,
points, I
Josh,
think.
and I started crying when he scored that penalty.
Let me check our league a second.
I didn't really cry, but it was obviously quite a sad
Oh,
moment.
you probably did though, didn't you?
Shut up, Josh.
Let's be honest.
All right. Well, Perisic got me 6 points, but I have definitely gone down. No, I haven't. I'm still sixth. Okay, I'll take it. Right. Anyway, we're not a football podcast. We're a what kind of podcast would we say we are?
Nerdy, geeky films and stuff.
Yeah,
I
films
don't
and
know.
what Josh said. Anyway, we'll get into it. So kicking off our third week of Halloween film genre, horror slash anything to do with Halloween. Let's just get on to it. Shaun of the Dead. I'll start off with this
Yes.
one. So this is the
Okay.
first and definitely the most popular film of the Cornetto trilogy. Um, it's called the Cornetto trilogy because in every single film, Simon Pegg, who is the lead character of all of these films, he goes to buy a cornetto, like the ice cream cornetto. So,
Yes.
uh, I guess a fun fact, if you didn't know that already. Um, let's see. As in all three of the Cornetto films, Nick Frost and Simon Pegg were brilliant again. I think it's quite good to see their chemistry at the start of the film, when they're just basically two people living in the same house, just playing games the whole time, and it's pretty decent. I've also met Nick Frost myself at Nottingham Comic Con. Go and watch that video if you
Yeah.
haven't,
Yeah.
because it was a great video, and Nottingham Comic Con itself was great. So
Yeah, it was good.
yeah, let's see. I think one thing I will say about this is the other characters were great as well, and overall it's a really light-hearted, light-hearted horror slash comedy film. I'd say it kind of fits. You wouldn't really class it as a horror film, but it's still got the zombies aspects of it, and it's not really that scary at all. Plus the comedy in the film is also decent. So yeah, well, they're great to be fair. So yeah, it's definitely good.
Yeah.
Do you have yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't watch the whole film. I ran out of time. I watched the majority of it. I mean, it's quite a fun, laid-back film. There's not too much going on. It's not too serious. It's nothing huge. But it's a fun, enjoyable film. It's a bit like a Christmas film in that sense. It's just one you can sit back and relax and enjoy. Yeah, I mean, Story-wise, it's probably not the best because I mean, not too much happens. But that's kind of on purpose, I guess. The comedy's funny, like you say. It's fun watching the two main characters get along. It is a bit gorier than I expected. But I mean, I don't mind that. It was quite cool to see that bit of action. That was quite good. And yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just an enjoyable, fun film to watch. And the characters have like really good chemistry. Yeah, it was just quite fun.
Yeah. I think that's about it on that. I think definitely a Halloween film that I suggest to anybody that wants to sit down and watch anything over the weekend at any point in October. So, yeah, that concludes Shaun of the Dead. What is your film rating, Josh?
I've gone for an 8 out of 10.
Okay. I've gone for a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
So next up is Andor, episode 6 from me. Obviously, Josh, you haven't watched some of it yet, but I have to say, do catch up on it because it truly is an amazing series.
This week.
It's an amazing series, and this episode, yeah. So I was like looking through this, and one of the notes I made is that there's two different sides to Star Wars. There's one that feels like classic Star Wars, you know, your like your films, you know, some of them moments there where you feel, oh yeah, that definitely feels like something you can instantly relate to some of the classic films. Or there's like some of the stuff like The Mandalorian that, you know, it's so good that it doesn't have to feel like the classic Star Wars or need to feel like any other previous project. You know, it's so that good. That's the thing. And that's what this episode of Andor felt like. Like this alone, if I had to pick like one episode of any series that I've watched this year, this is definitely in the top 3 because this was amazing. So, this is the episode where they invade the Imperial garrison, or in other words, they steal the payroll for it. So you know they obviously execute this amazing plan. They fall a bit behind schedule. So obviously they nearly get caught. A couple of the crew is killed, and so slowly throughout the episode you see everyone except Vel and the other person, the other woman in the team that I can't remember her name, get killed. So I mean it was just amazing overall. So I can't really think of any hints. Oh, there was one, Nemec. So we get to see the eye, like the eye that everyone talks about on Aldani, and I think truly visually it's amazing. But we get to see a reference to Rogue One, where K2SO, Nemec is shouting "climb," which is, you know, I think loads of people have mentioned it's a reference to Rogue One where K2SO shouts "climb." So yeah, it's definitely interesting to see. Something like that is always, you know, it's always fun because obviously this is made by the same directors of Rogue One. Like, we're made by the same people. Basically the same thing. And yeah, they all eventually escape. Well, no, 4 of them escape. So it was Nemec, Andor, Vel, and the American one, who again I can't also remember his name. I'm great with names again. So they get to this. Nemec gets injured on the ship out. He just about manages to save them all when he's shouting "climb." Obviously, I just mentioned that, but he is just before that. He's also squished with one of the, how would you say, like one of the trolleys full of all the payroll. So that heavy load hit him, and it killed him. So obviously they went to another planet to see if they can quickly cure him. By then he was dead, and while Vel is inside, looking at the operation, Andor and the American guy talk outside, and the American guy goes on about how they could just steal with all the money and the ship. And I think Andor gets offended by this, and offended, and disagrees with him in every way, and shoots him in the face. Which, yeah, I you can definitely see the early signs of how much more Andor will be, like how important Andor will be compared to other people, because he obviously you see how serious he takes this, and so he goes back inside, tells Vel that he'll be taking his promised amount of money and a ship outside, which I think was for 30,000 credits. But the last thing I remember of that episode, the last thing I remember of that episode is they give Nemik's, Vel gives Nemik's manifesto, his book basically, to Andor as like a will, basically, as like a last, well, as a wish. So yeah, it's definitely interesting to see, and we get a last quick bit to show that to show on the radio or whatever it is that gets communication around, as it shows there was a massive rebel attack on an Aldani airbase. So obviously we hear Luthen hears that, and he goes to the other room and celebrates. So yeah, this I might have explained it a bit poorly, but this episode was just on another level of great. This show overall, I forget what I said earlier on this year about Kenobi being a 10 out of 10. There was obviously still some of the moments in that were definitely, definitely some of the best we've seen out of all Star Wars. However, it wasn't a 10 out of 10 show. This was just, I hated Rogue One, but this was also, it feels amazing. That's the thing, it feels, like I said, it feels different to other Star Wars projects, and that's what makes it so good, because it's not trying to replicate anything else. It's trying to be in its own thing, and it's working perfectly. So, without further ado, my episode rating is 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, so Josh, next up for you is Rick and Morty.
Okay. This is episode 6. 6 now.
How many episodes are there in each season?
I mean, 10.
Fair
However, they're going on a break for a month now after this episode, so got a bit of a while to wait. But I mean, they usually do it as an hour. This episode is probably the weakest of the season so far. Which, I mean, doesn't necessarily make it like a horrible episode, because it's been a good season so far. But at the same time, it's not necessarily a good episode. This episode focuses on like dinosaurs coming back. Turns out that the dinosaurs have been going around different planets, helping them to like evolve and develop as planets. However, it turns out that these dinosaurs also attract the asteroids that come and destroy these planets, and which wiped the dinosaurs out in the first place. So it's an interesting concept. Storyline wise, this episode wasn't the strongest. Where this episode was at its strongest was the comedy from Rick and Morty, I'd say, and how they just go after each other, make jokes. Their comedy was at its best, I'd say, in this episode, and that's what kind of lets it not be like a bad episode. they're making references back to Jurassic Park. They're making jokes around that, so it's quite funny. I like the bit towards the start of the episode where like they've all lost their jobs and you need to do like anything in life because the dinosaurs are doing it all for them. And Rick makes the joke about, oh, you're basically all Jerry now. I thought that was quite clever and quite an interesting thing to think about, how Jerry's just this character who's laid back and everyone always like looks down on him for it, but then they're all put in this situation where they're all on the same level as him, and they like, he's almost got used to this by now, and they're having to get used to living like him.
I've seen enough Rick and Morty clips to know Jerry just gets abused the whole time. He doesn't catch a break.
Oh yeah. Last episode in particular, episode 5, he got absolutely bullied, but it was hilarious. But yeah. So this episode is one of those ones where it is quite forgettable. It's not necessarily a bad episode. It's more that it's just you forget it exists later on. So like I say, it's not horrible. It's not very good though either. We see more of the president. I don't know who the president's meant to be in Rick and Morty. I think it's like a fictional made-up character. But he's always an interesting character in his relationship with Rick, where they're always like going head to head, going at each other. That's always interesting to see, and interesting to see like their dynamic and their relationship. Another place where the humour's at its best is when it's Rick referencing that they're in a TV show and making references to that. So you've got all the way throughout the episode, you've got things like the rift in space still from the first episode, and again from the first episode, the fact that Rick can't use his portal gun because it was hacked by evil Morty at the end of last season. And all the way throughout this episode, you've got Rick saying, oh, it's canonical, they're going to fix it, and it's going to be like a big finale episode. It makes it like it's going to be important later in the story. I find it funny how by the end of the episode, all the stuff he's on about is just fixed. The dinosaurs fix the rift for them, and then he decides, you know what, let's just fix the portal gun. So that kind of leaves it in a nice space for when they come back in about a month. You've got Rick's fixed portal gun, which I feel like is necessary in the story because part of Rick and Morty is the travelling to new dimensions where weird stuff happens and seeing all these different alternate universes. So it'll be fun to see all that again. And yeah, we're going into the final 4 episodes. When they go for a break, it's usually when the story tends to build up and it gets like an important bit. So last season they left it to the last 2 episodes. They took a break before, and in the last 2 episodes that was like the finale. It was the big ending. And so they could be in for a 4-part finale almost, or a big story-based few episodes, which would be good. Rick and Morty's at its best when it's got a main villain like it had with Evil Morty, or like it will have with Rick Prime, and it's on a huge scale and huge things are happening, as we saw at the end of last season. I can't wait how they end this season and what sort of stuff they do now that they have portal travel back. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this episode. That's probably everything I can get out of it. Overall, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Not horrible, but not great. So yeah, that's Rick and Morty.
Alright then, fair enough. Sounds decent. I don't know why they take a month break though. That sounds a bit odd to me.
I'm not sure why they actually do it, but I think they tend to do it like towards the end of the season. I know they did it last year for the last 2 episodes of season 5. But yeah, I mean, gives us some time to talk about other things on the podcast.
Yeah, fair enough. Next up is She-Hulk episode 8, aka the finale of She-Hulk. Yeah, where do we start with this? I guess. We see, we see.
An interesting one.
Yeah, I'm a bit lost for words to be honest because of the fact how just strange and weird this episode was.
Yeah, I've got a very mixed feelings on it.
Yeah.
This is probably the most mixed I've felt about something. I mean,
where do we start? Yeah.
It all just becomes a big mess, and then she just hops into Disney Plus, hops across to the real world, and just talks to Kevin, who is
definitely based on Kevin Feige. However,
oh yeah, it's Marvel confirming that Kevin Feige is an AI.
Well, can't be killed, the poor man. No, what am I saying? Poor man? No, can't be killed. The
poor man.
Yeah, devilish man.
You can't call him a poor man.
Yeah, devilish man. Or AI, as they now confirmed. But
yeah.
I think this was definitely a reference to some of She-Hulk's comic moments where she rips through the page and talks to the writers about how terrible the story is. So it's interesting to see.
It's interesting. It's just I'm not sure how I feel about that being how they end a whole season of TV. I get that it's fun and different, and that we don't have to have action all the time. But at the same time, it is a superhero show.
Yeah.
And they have been building the story for 9 episodes. And they end it with her hopping into the real world and just talking to a robot for 15 minutes.
To be honest,
cracking jokes.
To be honest, I would have taken the ending that we would have had. Had not She-Hulk stepped in. I don't know, just
it depends how it would have worked because it all kind of just became one big mess.
At least there would have been some decent action of Hulk fighting Abomination and stuff, but at the same time that was the whole second half of that episode was just so weird. It just got out of control basically. Yeah, I mean I remember Hulk basically just spawned in, just came through the roof. Abomination, I don't even know what Abomination was doing. He was, against Jen for 1 second, but then defending her the next. So, how that works, I don't know. I see Todd. Todd just becomes a bloody Hulk, which, yeah. At that point, I was
that's what the season's been building up to then. And that's the one thing I'm mixed on, just the fact that they've been building up this story about how people want her blood and everything. And then it's all kind of just useless in the end.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure how I feel about
that. Yeah, I was surprised not to see anything on how maybe there's some kind of link to the leader, Intelligentsia, but I think Intelligentsia is just some random thing that
some random website, really.
Yeah, a group of
Todd created.
Yeah, just a group of idiot Americans just created. Yeah.
I will say as well, it was weird seeing Daredevil at the end in just broad daylight.
Yeah, I didn't really know why they would have brought Daredevil back. You know, I mean, Daredevil's gone at the end of the day. You know, he literally said himself, "Oh no, he's going back to New York." So why just bring him
I
back?
get why. I get how it links in because like Jen just asked Kevin for Daredevil to come back so she could see him again. I get all that, and it's more of a joke, but like this episode just made me dislike their relationship even more.
I mean, at the end of the day,
it's just like,
you know, at the end of the day, it is also a comedy. So I'm not going to take anything seriously. Except from Scar's headline. I mean, Christ above, gee.
That was one thing I was going to mention. Don't see what like put his hair like right at the back of his head.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool to see him, but wow, that headline dates back to the 1850s.
You can see that they're definitely building up to World War Hulk
Yeah,
Scar.
I expect that to be either a Phase 6 project or maybe a Phase 7, but we'll see.
I imagine probably Phase 6. Hopefully.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, thinking about it now, it would be a decent theory to think about how Kang would catch him at a bit of a bad time. Obviously, it's just been World War Hulk. I've got the comic somewhere. I have read it. Yeah. And he basically just, you know, he caused a bit of chaos on Earth, and everything is going out of control, really. And all of a sudden, right after that, you know, after they control him and stuff, and maybe in a post-credit scene of that film, even Kang and Doctor Doom just come out of nowhere, and you know that they catch him off guard, and that's how they're able to win so easily over the Avengers and everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, I do expect World War Hulk sometime in the future now, though. I'm just praying that they go back to regular Hulk eventually.
Yeah. Because I'm sick of this. I'm really sick of this Hulk that we're getting, the Smart Hulk. I mean, it was fun for Infinity War. No, it was fun for Endgame because of the fact it worked there, because we needed some kind of comedy to fit in with everything else that was going to happen in that film. But yeah, that was just yeah, bruh. I think that's all that really needs to be said about him. I think Scar also hints towards the Young Avengers.
Yeah, it could too.
Yeah, when we see that, we don't know. I mean, I don't really know yet. I'll probably have to see maybe one more Avengers member get killed off, whether that be, whether that be like Hawkeye or, I could even kill off Hulk himself, but I don't really see that happening.
I don't want them to kill off any of them now, though, because I mean, Thor's such a cool character. Yeah, I want them to kind of redeem him again after Love and Thunder.
Love and Thunder was
Hulk.
Yeah.
Hulk, I want to redeem him as well. I want him to go back to like regular Hulk and then to do World War Hulk. But I don't want Hawkeye to die either, because like he's finally retired, man.
Yeah. Just leave Hawkeye be.
He's tried to retire so many times and he just keeps getting pulled back. So I don't want him to just like kill him off now.
Yeah. Alright then, so have we got anything else to say on episode 8?
I don't think there's anything else to say about She-Hulk now.
Alright. Yeah, so that is what is your rating for She-Hulk episode 8?
Episode 9.
Oh, episode 9 actually, yeah.
And what do I go for here? I should also mixed. I'm gonna go for an 8 out of 10. How's that?
I think a 7.5 out of 10 is deserved for this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, your thoughts on the overall thoughts overall on the series? What do you
Well,
think?
overall, it's been such a mixed series, but I think it's probably my least favourite Marvel show so far, I've got to say.
I think that's fair enough.
I mean, the first couple of episodes were okay, they weren't great. Episodes 3 to 7 were just
Useless.
not good.
Nothing happened in them episodes.
In fact, I think I don't know, they just weren't very good. And then episode 8 was good, but that was because of Daredevil. And then episode 9, like I said, I'm feeling very mixed about. So it's such a weird series, but yeah, I've not enjoyed it that much. It's just not it's not hit quite right. And I know it's meant to be more of a comedy series than a superhero show, but it's still it's lacking something for me. Like, not much was happening in episodes for most of the season. And then the resolution to the whole show is she goes into the real world and talks to an AI version of Kevin Feige.
It's ridiculous how this whole show has led up to that.
Exactly.
I mean,
I guess it's a joke, and I get it was funny at times. Brought back Daredevil, and he was cool. But I've not enjoyed it that much.
If you're really looking at the whole thing, I mean, I'll tell you this: when I go home on a Thursday from school, I'm not excited. And maybe unlike other Marvel shows, I'm not excited to go on switch the TV on and watch She-Hulk. That's just it's not really my kind of. It's just not that kind of show. That's the thing. It's definitely got worse. I mean, the first 2 episodes were. It was good to see Abomination back. And then
and 1.
Yeah, and then just episodes 3 to 7, I gave up with the whole series.
I think Abomination, Wong, and Daredevil was like the highlights of this show.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I will say this though. I think it was better than Miss Marvel, in my opinion, just because of the fact of Daredevil. That's the only reason why I can get it past that, because Miss Marvel had about.
I think it's
2 episodes I really enjoyed. No, not really. I didn't enjoy really any episode of that, but there was 2 episodes that I found all right. But at least with this, the Daredevil episode, I enjoyed. The Daredevil episode was decent.
I'd say it was Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel's just better than this one, I think. I was a bit tied between them, but I think Miss Marvel's just a bit better. Purely because it was more fun, I think, for a couple of episodes. And the finale, I actually enjoyed the finale and how it all paid off. And I think as an origin story for that character, it was actually decent. They messed up a bit in the middle, I think. Whereas with She-Hulk, I mean, again, it's an alright origin story for the character, but it's just been a bit
on and off.
Nothing happening until the last 2 episodes.
Yeah. So
yeah.
What would be your overall rating for She-Hulk?
I'm gonna go with a 5.5 out of
10. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. I've gone for probably a 5.5 out of 10 is also respectable as well.
Yeah. It's right at the bottom of my list of shows so far this year.
Whereabouts is mine? Let's see. Cobra Kai season 4 is last. Miss Marvel and She-Hulk. Then Umbrella Academy season 3, which, I mean, their bottom 4 shows there. They are awful. And then
Is Book of Boba Fett not that low?
Book of Boba Fett. At least Book of Boba Fett had some decent episodes. That's the thing. Like, he had a couple decent ones, but yeah, then there's obviously just some better ones out there. Like all the rest of the shows I have on that list are much better. So, and I expect Andor to be in that top kind of range too. So, yeah. So, let's get on with this one then. Rings of Power, episode 8. This one actually is in episode 8.
Jeez.
Do you want me to get started with this one? Because this one's fresh in my mind.
Sure.
Rings of Power. I mean, the first 5 minutes of the episode, I turned it on. I was like, right then, this should be, fairly relaxing and all of that.
Relaxing?
Well, the rest of the show was like, there was still action in it, but not as much as maybe like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, but there was still a lot of, I still enjoyed it. 5 minutes in, we find out the Stranger of Sauron, or do we? We'll get to that. We'll get to that a little bit later on. As the follower people, who I don't know who they are, they tell the stranger that he is the Dark Lord Sauron that they've been looking for.
Yeah. That actually hyped me up so much, purely because that was the one thing I went into this episode expecting. So I thought I'd predicted it right, and then we got through the episode, and I was like, oh, maybe I didn't.
I predicted who the stranger was in the end. I mean, we'll get onto it now. The stranger,
yeah.
You can tell by the end of the episode, the way that he was speaking, it felt so much as if Gandalf was speaking to either Frodo or Bilbo. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell the stranger is Gandalf.
I mean, we know he's a wizard. That's confirmed. And like you say, just the way he acts, the sort of things he says, it's pretty much confirmed at this point that it's Gandalf.
Yeah, and Istri, which I'm guessing is also like the god kind of name that Gandalf had. Because if you look a little bit more into it, he is a god, really. I mean,
yeah.
His
Starry is like the wizards basically in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I think.
So that was that, and then I mean we might as well just state the obvious. Sauron, coming in, I didn't expect this one, to be honest. I thought Halbrand was genuinely King of the South, but it would make sense as to why he would come all the way over to the Elven Kingdom. That's the thing. I mean, I didn't expect this personally. I knew there was probably a few people out there who thought, when we saw the first appearance of him, that he was definitely Sauron, or at least had a force of it. For me, I didn't really think so. But looking at it now,
I've seen people online that had predicted it, and I'm there like, I mean, it makes sense to me now, but I didn't guess it. Like I never would have guessed it.
Yeah, look, back then you wouldn't really thought. That's the thing. Like you'd have thought Adar would have been would have been Sauron
or the stranger.
Yeah, or the stranger. Or probably any. I don't know. I always thought the stranger was Gandalf. That's the thing for me. Like from the start.
I thought he was to start off with.
Yeah, or at least one of the 5 wizards.
I thought he was to start off with, and I was pretty sure of that. And going into these last couple of episodes, it just seemed to almost make sense that he was Sauron. So I went into this episode expecting him to be Sauron, and then I thought it was confirmed, I was happy that I predicted it, and then I got even more hyped later on when I found out that it actually wasn't him.
Yeah. I thought, just to find out that Halbrand was actually Sauron, that whole sequence of him kind of going through Galadriel's mind, it was great to see, and it's great to see Sauron actually back. That's the thing. As we see at the end of the episode, Halbrand has travelled all the way to Mordor, so we'll see what happens there. A Sauron, well, Halbrand, Sauron, same kind of thing. I wonder where he gets.
I don't know what to call him.
Yeah, I think for now we'll call him Halbrand, but I wonder when he gets his armor, like Sauron's kind of armor. I wonder when he gets that.
That's what I'm thinking.
But we'll wait and see.
We'll see.
The rings are also forged.
Yes.
I read a bit up on this because I thought straight away, hang on a minute, how is all of this supposed to work? Because I had no clue how about this kind of age. Obviously, you've recently bought the book, The Silmarillion.
Yeah, I bought the Silmarillion, which tells the story of the first and second ages. So, I'm going to start reading that soon. But
yeah, you'll have to lend me that book.
I've also been researching the first and second ages recently. Yeah. So,
it's definitely. Yeah. I believe. So these 3 rings were the ones that they kept, but were never used, obviously, because the main ring, the one to rule them all, which is the one that Sauron created in the Forges of Mordor, which I'm guessing we'll see in season 2. And I'm guessing by then all the other rings will be dished out to other, like, I think it was the 7 Dwarven Kings and the 9 Mortal Kings. Obviously the Mortal Kings are
it was
like
it sang it at the end of the episode, didn't it?
Yeah. Which are Sauron's followers. I can't remember what they're called. But yeah.
So it's 3 for the elves, 7 for the dwarves, 9 for mortal men, and 1 for Sauron.
Yeah, that was it. Overall, there was 19 rings created.
20. Well, yeah. Sure.
No, it was 19. It was 19, wasn't it? No, it wasn't.
20 including Sauron's.
Yeah. I thought I saw 19, but I'm tired right now. I can't deal with that kind of thing. So what else is there to bring up? I thought I saw Gollum in that trailer. Right, I saw Gollum in one of them trailers, but I'll go back and have a look at the trailers today, because I guarantee you Gollum was in one of them trailers.
I mean, it wouldn't make sense for Gollum to be here, because he got, unless it's like as a hobbit, but even then the hobbits are still
Half-Foots.
Hobbits are still Half-Foots at this point.
Yeah.
And he didn't get the ring, did he, until after Isildur refused to throw it into after Sauron's defeat. Which I'm guessing that's how the show's going to end in right in the 5th season. It's going to end with that final battle we see at the start of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
With Isildur killing Sauron and then getting the ring for himself.
I have a feeling that Amazon, along the way, they'll produce, because he wrote more. J.R. Tolkien, he wrote more than just The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings. He wrote another book as well, which I reckon they'll create into a film. Well, into either one film or a film trilogy. However, I see it being either 1 or 2 films. Yeah.
I mean, I've got to say, before this show, I didn't really. Well, wait a second.
I mean, I knew what you were going to say. You were never really a massive Lord of the Rings fan. All of a sudden now you've started to really quite like it. I think that's what Josh was going to say, but he's gone for 1 second. So
Yep, sorry.
yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I was never really a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but I have like genuinely enjoyed this show.
Yeah, I mean this show
I
was
will probably start getting into it more.
yeah, this show was great despite all the hate. So
Yeah,
okay then. So what was your episode rating of Rings of Power?
I've gone for this episode.
Yeah,
Or overall.
this episode.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 for this episode.
Okay, I'll give a 9 out of 10 for this episode as well. And so, overall for this season, I need to actually have enough space to actually download this, so we'll quickly do the ratings right now. What is your overall rating for this season?
For the whole season, I'm going 8.5 out of 10.
Okay, I'll go for a 8.5 out of 10 as well. I think that's fair enough. So, yeah, that was Rings of Power. Our whole, our thoughts on that. All right then. That'll do it for this week. Because obviously we haven't really got that much time to talk about Lit. So, what we got next week to talk about then? We have Andor episode 7.
That's it.
A horror film we're going to talk about. Or a Halloween film. Black Adam.
And Black Adam. That's next week, isn't it?
And nothing else. By the looks of
it. Maybe a top 3.
Yeah, maybe a top 3. We'll finally add one of them in.
Not done one of them in a while.
No. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.